Good evening. Welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live. This is episode 193 of my show, and I'm so very excited to introduce you all to this next amazing, beautiful, and powerful musician. Her name is Jess Novak. She's from the CNY area. She's a multi-talented musician. Her musical career is just a testament to her talents and perseverance. She has 11 albums out. She published her own book called Dare to Begin, and she has won multiple awards. She's also the founder of her own festival, the Fire Festival, which celebrates the contributions of women. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. Jess is in the house. I'm going to pin this comment really quick, and then Jess, I will bring you on in. How's everyone doing? Hello, hello. Hi guys, how we doing? Happy what? Is it Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. Happy Monday evening. Hey, Jess, how are you? Doing well. Thank you so much for asking. I just want to say, Jess, you are all over the place with your music. You're constantly gigging. You just had a son. Congrats. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about music. And I'm really excited to learn more about you.
Yeah,
Of course.
Thanks for having me.
It's March. It's Women's History Month. So I would like to talk about a woman in your life who inspires you.
So I can't pick just one, but I'm just going to group them all together. Pretty much every female in my direct family, like my mom, my sister, my grandma, they're just the most amazing people I've ever known. And because my sister and I especially we're 15 years apart, so there was a long time where we didn't really have much in common or much to talk about because we were just in different parts of life completely. Yeah. But now, especially now that I have a son, it's really like amazing to see and understand what she did to like make that work. So what my mom did to make it work, what my grandma did, but especially with my sister, would become like closer than ever because of it. And I feel like those are the things that make you realize how amazing somebody is then when you're in that same place and you can see and like really get it. So that's
no, I love that.
So
I think it's so cool that once you become a mom, you have just an appreciation for, you just look at your life differently, but you also look at all the relationships in your life. Like, especially with your mom, you're probably like, oh my gosh, Mom, I appreciate you so much more because of everything.
Yep. Just amazing.
So I want to talk about your childhood and the impact that music had on your life. So talk to us about when music first came into your life.
Okay. This always makes me laugh because my mom's name is Melody. And so she came from a very musical family, but she does not play or sing. She's a talented, like visual arts. She painted one of my guitars and she's just like, actually, so this is funny. I have my stomp box here and like I painted like words and stuff. And then she did this in like 5 minutes.
You need to
like,
bring that back. Bring that back. We want to look at that. That is stunning. Wow.
Yeah. She just like, in no time, she's like, is that okay?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Be a good mom. So yes, my mom didn't play or sing, but music was always really important, and it was like expected that we all learn an instrument. So my brother, my sisters, they all did. But it wasn't until my brother John, who's 10 years older than me, started playing bass guitar, really fell in love with it, and that's what affected me. Was him not just learning an instrument, but like just everything was music all of a sudden, everything. So he would sit me in his room and be like, listen to this, and it would be Cool in the Gang and Jaco Pastorius and Led Zeppelin and all these people that would just change my life forever, because I learned classical violin. That was like my mandatory thing in music. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't understand what the difference was until he showed me that music. Then I was like, no, I love this music. I want to do this music. I want to play violin like Jimi Hendrix. I said that when I was a kid. I knew it. I just had no idea how to do it. So probably when I was around 7, 8, probably between 7 and 10, I really like figured it out. That's what I want to do. I just
so violin came into the picture, right? You see your brother playing bass. You're in front of all this incredible music. So you mentioned some of the musicians that you listened to growing up, but who really made a big impact on you musically?
So that, oh, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a million, just many, but I think one that really sticks out to me was my brother introduced me to a female artist named Nick Acosta, who, I don't know, she's big, but not everybody knows who she is. And I love her because I was also a big fan of Gwen Stefani, but Nick Acosta like really struck me as like so raw and real, like in the way that Robert Plant was, like just so much. And that was what I saw as a girl anyway, as a young girl. I didn't see that. Right. So Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston were just like very incredible, polished pop, you know, and Nick Acosta was just like in your face. And I loved that because that's what I loved about all the music he was showing me, that raw rock, real passion, like just crazy. I loved that. So she really
I know Nick Acosta. I've actually seen her perform live in New York City. She is phenomenal. I know she opened up for Lenny Kravitz back in the day, and I just miss her energy because she is such a force. And have you seen her live or no?
Haven't.
I mean, you think of like a woman, and then you think of like Lenny, and like to even power back with Lenny is so amazing. And I just think, I feel like not a lot of people know who she is. But guys, if you don't know who Nick Acosta is, please, after this interview, go look up her stuff on YouTube, stream her music, reach out to her. I don't even know if she's playing shows anymore, but she is a rocker.
Yes, she's one of my favorites ever. Can't Never Do Nothing is like Desert Island album.
Yeah, and her energy
her.
too. I think the energy she brings to her music and her stage presence, and just her aura already. She is kind of like, I guess if you could say like a female Lenny Kravitz, right? If Lenny Kravitz was like a woman.
Yeah, that attitude.
She's
and
amazing. So I want to talk about your time in college. You went to school for music industry, music journalism. You were kind of like in the backhand of music, and then you came front and decided to become an artist. So talk to me about music business and then making it into artistry.
Yeah, okay. I'll try and like consolidate this. What happened was I love music, but I just like made this decision when I was in high school that I would never be good enough to play because the avenues I saw for playing were, I didn't even know, honestly, that a female could like be a solo artist. Like what I'm doing now, I didn't know that was an option. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. It never occurred to me. So my options in my head were like, okay, so be in an orchestra, like I'm not that good. So these things, or be a rock star, I'm not that good. Like it's just not going to happen. So I decided to go with, I thought like public relations and music industry would go well, so I could do the other side, do all that, the kind of the fun, you know, marketing stuff of the music industry. So that was my idea. I got into public relations because I was a really good writer as a kid. So I thought I'd do that. But once I did it, I hated public relations was just so fake and like twisting things. And so I started writing for my school paper at college. And my brother also was a journalist for his paper. So I really started liking that. And then when I went to graduate from undergrad, it was like, well, I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I guess graduate school, right? So I went to school and ended up falling in love with music journalism. Then the whole program was great. It was 1 year, super intense, but they threw you right in. Like we went down to Charleston and covered the Spoleto Music Festival. And I got to interview Carolina Chocolate Drops and like, just like get right in there with everybody. And when I came out of school, I mean, my first interview, while I was still in school, I interviewed Guar. Really crazy. Out of graduate school was members of CCR, Creedence Clearwater, huge. And then I worked for the New Times. I got to interview members of Fish, just like members of Heart, you know, like the biggest people, Greg Allman, all these people. So that was really amazing for me. And it felt like a kid in a candy store. Just like, I get to talk to these people and hang out with them and go to all their shows. Like, until it kept happening that I was only interviewing men again and again and again. And I seriously just was sitting at my desk one day, like, where the hell are the women? Like, what is going on? I know they're out there, but why are 9 out of 10 people I interview men? So I really just, one day I got sick of it. There was one artist in particular that came through a press release about a blues singer, a female. And I interviewed her and I said, oh, well, tell me about writing these songs. And she said, well, I didn't write them. I was like, that's it. I give up. If no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I started playing music, quit my job, did all this
I
crazy
think that's
stuff.
amazing though, because I feel as a musician, some people are just like a straight musician, but I love that you went to school. Like you understand the industry, you understand the journalism, like you understand what it's like to be me interviewing you. Like you can see all facets of that. And I think that's so important as a musician to understand the business and the marketing aspect of it. Because sometimes people are so good at what they do, but they don't really understand how to put themselves out there or how to package themselves. You know what I mean?
And it's
yeah,
just
and I definitely
important.
like
It
when
really
I see you perform and when I listen to you, like I know that you take such pride in what you do, and watching you play all these instruments and the way that you market yourself and promote yourself and just like put yourself out there, it takes a lot of work to do that, like to always be on, right? Like you, I mean, I feel like for content, you always are pushing out things. You're always gigging. Like you give what, like 5-6 nights out of the week.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
but,
not as much as right now.
I mean, when I saw your schedule for March, I was like, whoa, she doesn't just have like 3 shows. Like she has like 15.
Yeah. That's like light for me. That's what I just looked at April. I was like 16. That's not much.
Yeah.
Like, that's quite a few shows.
I guess tell me about like marketing yourself as a musician and why it's important.
Oh my God. Whew, okay, so part of it is just that the industry is totally different than it was. Even when I was in school, it's changed like so dramatically because the artist has so much control now. Whereas you kind of had to depend on other people in the past because you didn't have your Facebook and your Instagram where you were in control. You depended on someone to get, you know, a story in the newspaper or things like that. But now artists are so in control of everything they are present. So that's great, but it's also a lot more work. And thought, like, I feel like it used to be in the industry that you had a whole team of people. Like I wanted to do A&R where you just created an artist, you presented an artist, you created the whole persona and the whole marketing plan. And now we have ourselves. So it's critical because if people don't know what you're doing, how can they even participate in what you are as an artist? So people think it's like an ego thing, but it's not. It's just you have to be constantly out there posting, saying what's going on. Otherwise people don't know. Why would they care if you don't care, right? That's in my book. I write about that a lot, that if you don't take yourself seriously and you don't take pride and you don't get a professional photo shoot and like do all these things, why would anyone else care? You have to.
And I think it's like you want to be taken seriously. And I know what you mean about like ego and like putting yourself out there, because I love knowing, oh, it's been 5 years since I did this show here, or it was 10 years and I wrote this song. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to be like celebrating that and celebrating all your accomplishments. Because you're right, if you don't do it, who else is going to do it for you? And it's like, oh my gosh, like I put out this body of work. It's so amazing. It's the 4-year anniversary. And like, you should go stream it.
Right.
And it's important because it's like, I think then it brings new people in and they're like, oh my God, I love that album. I love that song. Or, oh, I saw Jess play here and this was 6 years ago. And I think it's really important for people. It's kind of like journaling, right? Like when you journal and you're like, where was I during COVID-19 in like 2020? But you're like, if I look at these journal entries, it'll tell me exactly where I was in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And you journal as well. Every morning.
Yes, I do. Well, it's harder now with a baby.
So, okay. So it used to be every morning, maybe not so much with the baby, right? Why do you think journaling is so important?
Because I think you have to stay in touch with yourself, and people think that they're like, of course I know what's going on with myself, but I want to say like 90% of people I feel like don't. And it's not until you actually sit down and not just think about it, but start writing that all this stuff comes out that you weren't even aware of. Like what's out is what's important to you. And until you take the time to put it out, you don't know. You're not conscious of it anyway. It's like under the surface. So I feel like journaling is super important to keep in touch with yourself. And especially as an artist, that's what art is with yourself and then communicating it to others through.
So do you have like, do you go back into your journals and say like, oh my gosh, this would make a really good song?
Ooh, no, I really don't. Usually when I do like pieces for songs, it's separate from the journal entries. I try
let it go.
Read. I just let it go. Right. Now,
so you don't,
or not.
So you don't go back and you don't read them? Really?
No.
But you have them saved somewhere.
Yes, I've kept all.
Okay, I kind of get that though, because then it's kind of just like, it's off my plate. There it is. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow, that's good. So okay, why do you think other people should journal?
I think, yeah, like I said, it's important to stay in touch with yourself and be aware. I think it helps you get to the point of things faster. Like a lot of people are unhappy, right? And they have no idea why. They maybe think they do, but they don't actually know why. And it's because they don't sit down and like talk about it. It's a totally different conversation when you write in a journal than when you talk to somebody else. Because whenever you talk to anyone else, something is guarded, there's things you don't say, you know. But when you journal, who cares? Just say anything. Go crazy, you know? And that's when you can finally figure it out. So I feel like there'll be a lot less problems in the world. People
just writing it out. And like you said, talking to someone is different, but also writing it out is different. Because sometimes when you're talking to somebody, you're like, oh, I can't say this. They're going to get offended. So like, I'm going to put a filter on what I say. But yeah, journaling, it's just like, you just write it for yourself. Some people I know journal and then they just like throw it in the trash or they like burn it. Cause they're just like, like you don't want to see what you said, but you just want to like keep it over there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been some I'm like, you should burn that. You got to. When you go crazy, you don't.
So you gig all the time here in Central New York, but also all across the U.S. So do you have any really cool like cities, venues that like stand out to you as like your fave?
Oh boy. Okay, so there's a lot. There's a lot. So I played Key West many times, and duh. Obviously, just everything about that island is freaking amazing. So I love Key West, and all the Keys actually have great memories. But after that, there was a place in, where was it? Calais, Vermont. It's like a very tiny town outside of Montpelier. I mean, like, wow, so tiny, dirt roads, kind of tiny. And it was an old school general store. Like people would go there to get their mail and like basic needs. And then there was a little bar in the back that was no bigger than like a very small living room with couches and stuff. And that was always such a special place because it was so intimate. Like we play there and people would be like, you can stay at our house because the next place is, you know, an hour and a half away, you know, just come over. Right. You know, just that kind of a vibe. So that was really special. But I mean, there's a million. I toured across the country and my parents came with me once, and there was a night where I played a bar in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, and it was the night of the Super Bowl, but they didn't realize that when they booked me. So it was a very funny night where they're like, well, I don't know, you can play whenever you want, but probably not, right? And it just worked in my favorite gigs because everybody, we were like all in it together, cheering on the Eagles. You know, I hate the Eagles, but whatever. So they're all right. And stayed for the show. Everybody bought the CD. Everybody hung out with my parents. So you just never know. You never know what the show is going to be like. And you can walk into one place and be like, oh no, Norman, Oklahoma, ew. One of my favorite gigs ever. You know, you just never know.
Because you've toured so much, so I feel like you have so many stories of being on the roads in certain cities and like, oh, I had this experience here. And then even in CNY, like you gig all the time. Do you have any specific venues that you're just like, I love playing at this venue?
There's so many. I like venues that are quiet, singer-songwriter venues. But it's hard. I do like the Oswego Music Hall, and because they do like very quiet singer-songwriter events, and I just like that vibe. Like if I could go to a show, that's what I'm going to. Right. I want to listen. I want to hear every word, that kind of thing. The quiet songs and things like that. But then at the same time, we just played a show down in Tully, New York, at a place called Anko, a big brewery. Packed, it was really fun, and that energy is like a whole other thing, you know, the energy with the band and the crowd. So it really depends. But we've had great shows at Myers Creek, great shows at Average Shows.
Yeah, I think
it's all different.
Venues are so you could do a small, you could do a brewery, you could do like Taste of Syracuse, and it's just like you just never know what's gonna happen at these venues. Yeah.
Right. Never know.
So you met your partner, Ben Wayne, doing music. So both of you are very established musicians. Talk to me about how you and Ben met.
This is one of my favorite stories. So we have a mutual friend. She met me. She was just out one night drinking, and somebody told her I sang. So she was like at the bar, like, sing me a song. And I did. I sang her Bobby McGee, and then I sang her my cup song, and she remembered me from that, like that random Tuesday night. Then she saw me years later at a festival. I was like, that's that girl from the bar that I was like telling to play Bobby McGee, right? So she's like very outgoing and very like remembers, and okay. So she kept telling Ben for years, ever since she met me, she's like, she has an open mic. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go. He didn't go for years and years. He didn't go. And then finally he did come. And I remember so specifically because he came with a girlfriend, and I'm just like a very, very open, nice, like welcoming person. And especially at my open mic, it was important to me that people felt welcome. Especially if they were going to play for the first time, I wanted them to feel like welcome to do that and like introduce myself and say what happens. And okay. So I did. And she just like was not into it. And I wasn't doing anything inappropriate. I was just welcoming him, saying like, I can't to hear you. That's it. Played Redemption Song by Bob Marley, played Fallen by Alicia Keys. And I remember watching him and thinking like, wow, he's a really good singer and he's cute. Wow, nice. And like, that was it. But they left soon after that because she was not happy. She just was like, no. Yeah, so they left, and then he started coming again. And we started talking, and we like really fell in love when I wasn't even in the state. I was touring in Florida, but we just kept talking, and that was it. Just the talk of him did it. So it was cool meeting over music, but then really bonding over just life.
It's wild that he showed up with the girl, and she could sense it. She was like, oh, why is she paying attention to you?
And I really was just being how I was with everybody. It was so funny, but yeah.
Having a partner that's also a musician, talk to me about that dynamic. I know that sometimes you guys play out together, you do Twitch live streams, you songwrite, you do a lot of cool stuff.
Yep. It's a funny thing because I think people have a picture in their head, probably from movies and stuff, that when, you know, you write songs for each other and you just play songs together. It's not like that. And it's good. It's way more. And what I love about it is that we both, like, our natural conversation always goes to music and just like dissecting it and not patting each other on the back, but saying like, dang, that's a good song. You wrote a good one. Like, awesome. Or he's helped me with songs. There's one I wrote for him, and he was like, that chorus, you just got to keep it up. Whole song, you know? So it's really cool to have that ability to talk like that to each other and be really honest and real. And it's taken a long time for me to realize how to use it as motivation, because I'm a naturally competitive person, and I think it's easy to be jealous in music or competitive, because if somebody's really good, you're like, well, I want to be really good. Well, I want to be better. So when you're in a someone, you have to learn how to be independent of that and like build each other up, but then also use it as motivation to get better. Like, I listen to his songs as motivation. Like, that's a really good lyric. That's a really smart turnaround there. Like, I see what you're doing, and I want to do that. Use it as motivation. And it's been great. Both of us have like pushed each other in ways to get better. So that's been the coolest.
I love that, like, he's your partner, but you collaborate with him. But also, you need that person in your life who inspires you to do better and pushes you to that next level. And
exactly.
Challenge. So, congrats on being a mom to your son. I know the past 4 to 5 months have been very crazy for you. talk to me about how becoming a mom has changed you.
Ooh, boy. Everything is different. I think the biggest change is not in like the physical change of now we need a babysitter. Now every time I go here, I bring him. It's not those things. It's like your perspective on life is totally different. Everything, what matters, just all of a sudden everything's clear. I feel like that's a gift and something I wasn't expecting. It's awesome. It's, yes, just all of a sudden everything's like a laser focus of like what matters and what doesn't, and what's going to help him and what's good for him. It just gets you out of your own head and your own blocks, I think. So that is my favorite part about being a mom. It's just this amazing ability to now just want to give everything.
I feel like it's got to be like a reset in your life. Like you think you know everything, and then you're like, wait, what was my life like before this?
You don't even remember. Yeah, I know. Think about how we used to go to shows and then go out to another show and just like do whatever.
You're like,
oh my God,
so many hours in a day, and I'm doing music, and then we have to spend time with him, and you have a gig and I have a gig, and it's just like the whole balancing act of everything.
Yes, it's a lot, but it's fun. And like it's the same thing about that perspective, like what matters and what doesn't. Like we're gonna stop at this time and we're just gonna spend it together, and whatever didn't happen today didn't happen. Whatever, you know, that's a great.
So talk to me about
the
juggling act of becoming a new mom and balancing out your career as well as your relationship, your time with him, and just like even songwriting and just gigging all the time.
Yeah. So I think I learned while I was pregnant, because pregnancy was really, it was great, but it was challenging because I'm like a very intense go kind of person. And then to have put on me like, no, you can't go. You just can't do it. It's not good for anybody. So that was the start of me learning to take time that I used to think was a waste of time, to just sit, to just rest, to just read. You know, I used to think that was a waste, and now I understand that that's like the most important time. So I'm ready for this. And so now the juggling act and all that, it's really just more natural. It's just going with the flow. It's taking all the pressure off. Like you don't need music video every 6 months. You don't have to release an album every year. Like you can, and if you want to, but maybe do 3 songs, not 10, you know, things like that. All the pressure's off. And then with gigs, it's easy now. Ben and I can just look at it, usually financially, like, is it worth it or is it not to take the gig? That's it. And that, again, it's just like easy priorities now to just see
because you
what's
only
worth
have
it and what's not.
So much time in the day, and you're like, okay, how do I want to spend my time? Like I need to be very careful with my time because am I gigging, my relationship, my son, like all of this stuff together.
Right. A wedding. From that.
Definitely.
Crazy.
So let's talk about 11 albums that you've released. When we talk about like putting out music and creating music and gigging, 11 albums, that's incredible because there's so much work and recording and songwriting and engineering, marketing that goes into this. So talk to me about these albums. Like when you look back and you're like, wow, this is my body of work. Like, what do you think of that?
I think it's less about, it was never thought to me, even though I had like kind of a goal in my head, like I'd love to get 10 albums in 10 years. That would be cool. But it didn't come down to that. It came down to just, I look at them, they're kind of like journals for me. They're like snapshots of where I am in that moment. And that everyone gets better. That is what's important. So my first album that was my starting point. There's a lot of great things about it. There's a lot of stuff that I'm like, wow, I should have done better, whatever. But I didn't know. That was like where I started. And so that's a beautiful thing. And then the next album was totally different and another learning experience. And got better and got better and better. And all different studios and all different people. So really, to me, I don't look back and I'm like, I'm amazing. No. I look back and I'm like, wow, there's so much I could have done better. But great is that I did it. And that now I can look back and have these moments that are all captured. That now the next one will be better, right? And I know how to get there, and I know what to do. And that is what is so cool to me when I look back on those, just like the memories and the having that concrete thing that I can look back onto that time and those songs about my life.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I love what you said about journals, because you're right. You're like, oh, well, this album came out here, and then this album came out here, and this is what I was going through at that time.
Big time.
So speaking of journaling and writing, you wrote a book, Dare to Begin. Talk to me about writing. Yes, talk to me about writing this project.
Yes. So this was funny because what actually happened was during COVID, I just read like a freak. I just read so many freaking books. And what happened when I was reading all of them was I kept seeing these themes. So many of the books were by women authors, and so many were about women and women struggling or being victims of all kinds of abuse and things. So to me, it was like, oh my God, if this many women are talking about this, wow, we need to talk about this. So what that inspired me to do was write a book that is not this book, but this is, I'm going to bring this all back together. What that did was I wrote this a fiction book that was about a musician, and it's all done, but it hasn't been published. Trying to get a publisher for fiction as first-time authors, it's hard, but I'm working on that. But what it did do was I put it out there, like in the universe. I did this. I wrote this. I wrote a whole book. Just sat at home and just did it. Whatever. What that did was bring all these other people to me who said, "That's amazing. How about this? Or what about this? What about all these other things?" So what happened was a person, Laura, she contacted me and said, "It's awesome you wrote that book. I think your story is so amazing. You should write a book about that." I said, "Oh, okay." And that's what, in a few months, I was pregnant when I wrote it. So it was just a few months. Like I wanted to get it out before the baby came. So it just happened. So this book is all about me kind of telling my story, but then also giving tips and suggestions and questions to people to help them pursue their own passions and dreams and to make it real. Because I wish somebody told me everything in that book. I just wish somebody told me that when I was a kid, really. Just that you can do it. You don't have to be afraid, and you don't have to be the best. Yeah. Just do it. Just start. And then all these other things that you'll face along the way. But yeah, what I love telling the story of the book, because I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, you just wrote about yourself." It wasn't that. It was that because I did something else out of passion, other things happened, and things keep happening. And that's been my pretty much whole career. That's how all the people I've needed have come to me, was because they responded. You know, I think people, they expect things to come to them without putting out. You just have to keep putting out to get back. That's like such an important thing to understand in life, really, not just in art or a career, like in life. You have to keep putting out to get it back. So that's what this book is a product of. And then my hope is that it helps other people.
Think it's so important when you talk about just putting yourself out there and following your passion. Because I think when you follow your passion, you follow like your truth, like you're walking in your purpose. And I think so few people do that, right? Like artists, of course. But like, you know, there's so many people like in unhappy jobs, and it's kind of just like they need that reset. And it's for you to be there and guide them in the right direction with this is so powerful.
I really hope it helps. Because like I said, oh God, it's just crazy to me that nobody tells you when you're a kid, like, whatever you want to do it. You're going to have to work so hard. You're going to have to give up a lot of stuff. But if you want it, just do it. Don't wait. Don't wait for someone to give it to you or tell you. Or just do it. Just go. Right? Start. And then get better. Like those albums. That first album, mistakes everywhere. But if I didn't do that, nothing else would have happened. Right? So you just have to.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you're going to make mistakes in your first project, but like then you learn from them in the second. And then the third. And it's like the mistakes that you made in those first couple albums, you're not going to make them. And you're because you know, or maybe you're defining your sound, or maybe you're like, I want to kind of move in this direction. It's kind of like the evolution of yourself as an artist.
Right.
So
exactly.
You're all about celebrating incredible women, and you created this festival called the Fire Festival. So for people that don't know about the Fire Festival, tell them about it.
Yes, it's called Females Inspire, Rock, Empower. And the idea was that I've been part of many female shows and they've all been great, but I feel like the kind of point was missed a lot of times because there was one female festival or show I was part of where women would sing, but the band was all men. And when we had to do original songs, they said no. And then they even put men as singers on it. And I was like, that is missing the point,
Yeah.
I feel like, of celebrating women. We are also kind of totally celebrating men. So what I wanted to do was make a festival that was purely women vendors, women artists, women singer-songwriters who played their instruments, like who everybody does everything. Because what needs to happen is we have to make it normal first, right? What happens is we start making these, okay, a female festival, this festival. No, so that's the start, okay? But after that, it becomes more normal to just see a bill with all women, to see a festival with a bunch of women.
Yeah.
Right now, that doesn't happen enough. I go to Peach Fest, there's two women singers here and there, and that's it. It should be more than that. Like, there's women out there playing. So now we need to just make it more common. And the way you do that is by presenting that. So I wanted to show people, yeah, we can do a whole day of all women doing everything. And it was great. It was cool. And it was all ages. That's another thing that happens. I feel like people get into, these are my friends, so that's what we're going to put on. And no, we had people, I think, 14 to however old, and that's important too, to see the next people coming up and to inspire them, to inspire each other. That's
definitely,
we have to keep doing that.
Like, and then about all ages, yeah, if you're like a teenager and you're going to something like this and you're like, yeah, the next generation of women who are just like, this is cool. I see myself in all these other women. And then you learn. And then I don't know how old some of the older people were there, but then like those older people can teach the younger people.
Right. Exactly. And same idea, like, I wish someone wrote this book. I wish I had this. I never saw a female musician play in person. I don't even remember, like the first time, definitely not as a kid, ever. That's crazy. So now it means a lot to me when people bring their children, their young girls, to see me. And they say, like, oh, I want to do that. Look, if you do it, I can do it. That is a huge thing for people to see and understand, like, you can, I can.
And I can only imagine, like, when those kids come to your show and they see you playing the violin, and then you're playing the guitar, and then you're playing piano, and then you're singing, and like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just doing so much, and it's going to be so amazing to see all these beautiful young women that you've inspired over the years.
Yeah, it's been amazing already to see it come back. And I think one of my favorite things is that, so when you're a kid, like, you don't have fear, right? And about that, I've had so many young girls, like, I play guitar and violin and piano too. Like,
yeah,
they're just like, heck yeah, why not? You can do it. Obviously, I do it all the time at home. Like, that's great. Yes. Because my attitude as a kid was like, the only women I know in music are Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and they're gorgeous and unbelievable singers. So I guess I'm out.
Yeah.
I guess that's not for me. So someone like real and that you can talk to and that you can, like, touch, like, come and see, like, it's just so important. So my festival would be everywhere. This would become common. So
yeah, I think that's so important because, yeah, you're right. Even in music, right? And music labels and PR, and you've been in the business quite a while. There's men everywhere, and then there's so few females, right? Every aspect of business.
Yep.
So it's like, we need to celebrate these women and just be like, women producers, women songwriters, like, women journalists. Like, when you think of labels, like, are they men or are they women? Like, most of them are men.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And I think if you're a female watching this and you have, you're an artist, whether it's painting, music, whatever you're into, like, lean into it, because we need more women in the creative space. Yes, so as far as women that inspire you right now, like, who are women that inspire you? Who have you been listening to recently?
Okay, so we're doing a 90s show coming up. So going back to all the 90s artists, Gwen Stefani is my favorite. I freaking her, but I loved her, especially with No Doubt, because, and actually, Gwen Stefani and No Doubt and Garbage with Shirley Manson were two of my favorites in the 90s because everyone else was like Lisa Loeb, Alanis Morissette, Jewel. They were just like the female in front. But Garbage and No Doubt I loved because they were Garbage and No Doubt. They were a band. Like, they were equals. And that was what made me feel like that is so badass. That's so freaking cool. And that she can go out there with Sublime and just like be just the same, just even. Right? Nobody's thinking like, ugh, I don't know. What? No, they're just even. They're just, everybody's equal. And I loved that. So I feel like, right now my playlist is all 90s. But I've also been listening to, I love Billie Eilish because I feel like she's just breaking every rule. And I love how she does it. Yeah. And I love her songwriting. I love her. So
love
90s
it.
And Billie Eilish.
And I don't feel a lot of people talk about Shirley Manson of Garbage. Like, right?
So
I remember watching her, seeing her with her band, but also listening to the music. I'm like, there's nothing that sounds like this. Same doubt, though. Like, No Doubt and like Shirley Manson, like they were just such pioneer women, female rockers, had that sense of style, and it was like they can do whatever they want up there.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That gives me chills. Yeah, it's right. Nobody has ever sounded like them since. They're just standalone. It's amazing. Yeah. And I love their fashion because now I'm putting together my outfits for the 90s show and like looking at Gwen Stefani. It's like, how do you, oh my God, because everything with her is just incredible. Yeah. It's so loud.
But it's also, it's so awesome because then it's like you differentiate yourself with your fashion, which you've also done. Like you're always like pushing the bar when it comes to fashion, and like your photo shoots are insane. Like the one with your hair standing up, I'm like, how does that happen?
I do like that.
Love it. So, Jess, for everybody watching right now that loves you and adores you and says, I want to support Jess as a musician, what can you tell them? How can they support you?
So there's tons of ways. And I love this because you can support with money or with no money, right? That's not what it's about. It's about you can like, you can follow, you can share. Yeah. That's huge. That doesn't cost anything, right? And those are some that matter to an artist. People caring, people sharing, people listening on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. You don't have to buy an album to be a supporter. You can just do all that. Like, share, follow. Boom. So all of that is great. Or coming out to shows obviously is great. And most of my shows are free. So that's easy. And a lot of people were like, well, I don't go with anybody or I don't drink or what. I used to go by myself and drink water at the bar all the time when I was a journalist because I was at music 6 nights a week. Like, just come, hang out, be there. You'll make a friend, So there are ways that are just totally free. And then if you want to support further, yes, buying albums, buying the book, tipping, whatever, any of that is also appreciated. But I feel like artists really just want someone to listen, and care and talk and, like the posts and respond and comment. Those things mean everything. So going to the website and going to Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, following all that stuff.
Like, share, comment, go to a show, buy the book, tip. Definitely see Jess. Go out and see Jess. She is so much fun live. Like, I mean, last time I saw you out, I was crying because you were singing a song about your son. And it was weird because I was in public and I was crying and I was like, oh my gosh. But I was just so taken by the moment. So thank you for doing that because sometimes you just gotta let it out. Yes, so Jess, that's all the questions I have for you this evening. But guys, don't go anywhere because Jess is gonna perform for us. Take it away.
So we got it then. Writing this was, it was so natural. And that's when I know, like, I'm onto something, I'm onto a good song when it just like pops out. So when Jessup arrived, it was when he looked at me. And when we would spend our mornings, like every morning I would feed him and just sit there on the couch with him, and he would just look up at me, and look up like I was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen, you know, because I was the only thing he'd ever seen, you know, for a little while, like literally. So it was that feeling of just like how tremendous that is, how big that is. And it's magic. That is the only way to describe it. It's like, it's so much bigger than anything else ever. And that to me is what magic is, right? It's something you can't quantify. It's just unbelievable. So this song is called Magic, and it's just about that feeling, that look that you get from your kid. Ugh, this is the best thing. I can't find the words to say how I feel. I can still hardly believe that you are here every single night. Don't sleep, I just listen till you breathe. I don't understand how you landed in my hands. I didn't know love until this. I didn't know magic exists until this. You brought me to a brighter side of life. It shines and shines. It blinds my eyes the way you look at me. Like I'm the most amazing thing. You make my heart come alive. You make it sing. I didn't know love until this. I didn't know magic exists until this. And every day is new again. You make me believe. Yeah, every day is new again. You make me see. Baby, you're magic. Da 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 da. 'Cause baby, you're magic. Magic. And now we have it. Cause baby, you're magic.
I love that song. It's honestly like a lullaby. It's beautiful. Yeah. I feel like I could listen to it every night to like put me to sleep.
Oh, I love it. So with him, and yeah, he fell right asleep. It's like,
and your
oh boy, hi
song.
everybody. Yeah. So I've been back and forth. I was gonna do yeah, we're gonna do this. My original idea was to do a cup song. I do this like cup trick thing. But I just realized that a year ago Saturday, my fiance proposed to me. So that was a big day. So we're gonna do a song that is like all about that. So this is a song I wrote for Ben. And I like this song because I'm a very like dramatic person. I love dramatic songs. I love that. But this song sounds more dramatic than it is. There's a line in this that says, "You make me want to try when I was just waiting to die. You gave me a reason to fight." And so people are like, oh, I'm just waiting to die. And it's not that. It's what it is. It's the idea that I feel like a lot of people settle in their job, settle in their relationship, settle in their house, settle. And so to me, that's waiting to die. If you're just settling, then you're not really living. You're just you're waiting to die. You're waiting for it to end, right? If you're not passionate, if you're not. So I had settled before I met him. I was just like, this is where I landed. This is how it's going to be. I settled in a relationship. I settled in my career. Like I was like, this is good enough, I guess. And whatever, I'm happy enough, I guess. And then him, and it's exactly what happened. He gave me a reason to fight and to try and to be better and to do more and like grow. So this song to me, yeah, it's just him. It just, yeah. This is for Ben. Remember first time I drove you home, I missed your house. Didn't want to see you go. See you go. Remember the look in your eyes, that perfect blue, the best disguise but you. You had nothing to hide. You said I could get used to this. Think I've been dying for your kiss. I didn't even know. Now it surely shows. You make me feel alive. You make me wanna try. When I was just waiting to die, you gave me a reason to fight. It's all fireworks and fairy tales, it's made up songs, and they all pale to the truth I found in you. It's carousels and diamond rings, it's you and me. It's everything, it's more than I could ever dream. 'Cause you said I could get used to this. Think I've been dying for your kiss. I didn't even know. Now it surely shows. You make me feel alive. You make me wanna try. When I was just waiting to die, you gave me a reason to fight. I'm still sinking into this. I'm still getting used to it. How life could be, yeah, life could be as good as this. As sweet as you can. For the longest time I couldn't believe that you were mine, but now look at how I got and grow. Hope you know you make me proud. You help me fly when I'm stuck on the ground. Let's go, baby, go. 'Cause you said I could get used to this. Think I've been dying for your kiss. I didn't even know. Now it surely shows. You make me feel alive. You make me wanna try. And I was just waiting to die. You gave me a reason to fight. I'm still sinking into this. Still getting used to it. Yeah, life could be, yeah, life could be as good as this. As sweet as you can. You make me feel alive. You make me want to try. And I was just waiting to die. You gave me a reason to fight.
Woo! I love that. And I love what you said about like not settling, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, we discussed this earlier, they do settle, right? And they do kind of get in this place where they don't like a lot of things in their life. And it's like, there's always more to aspire, right?
Yes.
It's out there, Jess.
It's out there.
You're just like dropping words of wisdom today. And I feel like you're like my life coach. Do you do that as well?
I love that. I mean, maybe I should be doing, I don't know. I have a new career path here.
So, Jess, this is the time of the show where the people that are in the chat with us right now, if they have a question, they can ask you. So, guys, if you are in the chat room right now and you have a question for Jess, feel free to put it in the comment section below. And we also pinned the website. It's right here. And it's jessrocknovak.com. There are shows on there, music, the book, lots of good stuff on the website. So, Jess, what does success mean to you?
Oh, I love this question. So I used to go, when I was on tour, I would try and stop at colleges a lot of times, and I would speak to music classes. And there was one time where I stopped at where I went to undergrad, James Madison in Virginia, and they asked exactly that. And I loved it because I remember when I was sitting there and I had that same question of like, what is success? Like, when do you know that you did it? Like, I'm curious to know from someone who's like doing it, right? And my answer was that yes, I feel like I am very successful because every day I wake up and I do what I want to do. And that's not just like I do whatever I want. It's like I create a business that I'm proud of, that I believe in, that I want to create. I'm able to be home for my child and my dogs. Like, so many people, again, with the settling and the whole just like accepting, they don't get to wake up and be proud and be excited to do, you know, any number of things. So that to me is the ultimate success. Yeah, money's fine and whatever is fine, but no, that's it for me. And I think a lot of people could benefit from, I guess, going for that, right? To get up every day and be proud and be excited and want it and do it.
Lean into what drives you and makes you happy, because it's different for all of us.
Right. Exactly. And because, yeah, money or fame or that is no gauge.
You have to truly like what you do, because it's the long game. Right. It's not like, oh, let's try to see what we can do for a month. It's just like, hey, I love this so much. I can do this every single day for the rest of my life. And that's when you know, because if you're driven by, money or fame,
like I learned that more than anything when I was a journalist, because all the the biggest, most famous, successful, huge people, all money, most miserable, all of them. So tired of it, so over it. All of them would say, I got so many ex-wives, I just did blah blah blah. Like, just they didn't have it. They in my eyes, yeah, okay, successful to the public, but not here. They went home alone, or they weren't proud, they weren't excited, they weren't fulfilled. I could tell speaking to them. So that
it's so important to do what you love. So for people that are watching that look up to you and say, like, Jess, how do I find my passion? How do I find out what makes me happy? What advice do you have for them?
Okay, well, let's start journaling. We're back to journaling, right? Yeah, like with yourself and really thinking about it, I think is important. I also think, I know for me, I'm not sure if this is for everybody, but for me, I knew it when I was a kid, and then I went away from it. I knew when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was music. But then somewhere along the way, somebody told me I wasn't good enough, or, I didn't get the best part in the orchestra, the best position, the best chair, and then you kind of go away from it. So sometimes thinking about when you were a kid, what did you want? What was your dream? And sometimes like an astronaut. Now, obviously that's not going to happen, but a lot of times it was like, I just love to draw. I just really wanted dogs, it can be so simple, but that's the whole thing. Like, happiness is usually from simple things. I love to play music. Even if I didn't do it for a living, if I just did it all the time, okay, that's cool,
Love that. So great. So of the songs that and the songs that you play during your show, cover songs, do you have a song that you wish that you wrote, and which one would it be and why?
A million. I will say Jason Isbell is one of my favorite songwriters. Up, I think it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Anything he wrote. But there's a lot of classic songs I play. I love Pink Floyd. Shine On You Crazy Diamond is one of my favorite songs ever written. So obviously, wish I wrote that. But it's so genius that whole song. And I really like Billie Eilish. I think she's very clever. I love her lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I love the way she delivers. Her whispery delivery is so cool and different and edgy. I love that. Ooh, wow, there's so many. I love Sympathy for the Devil. I think that's a brilliant song. Rolling Stones. I think Shine On You Crazy Diamond, though, is like my number one. I could have written this. And Something by the Beatles is like top favorite song of all time, I think.
I think there's, right? You think of all the beautiful music that's out there, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what would I mean, all of them, right? But then there's some that hit you more than others that you're like, oh my gosh, this piece of music is beautiful. Right. So Jess,
a perfect song.
Tell all the beautiful people right now where they can follow you, plug all of your social channels.
Oh boy. Okay. So the website is jessrocknovak.com. That has everything. I'm jessrock87 on Instagram and Twitter. I'm on TikTok, Jess Novak Music, and Twitch for live shows, virtual live shows, Jess Novak Music. I get everything. Facebook, I have Jess Novak Music and the Jess Novak Band. I also have a Jess Novak Band on Instagram too. So, yes. So on Spotify and all that, we have Jess Novak Solo. And
pretty much Jess is everywhere. She's on every social platform because guess what? Like, the thing is, some people gravitate towards one social platform more than others, but I feel like you balance them all so well, and you're just like here, there, Twitch, like everywhere.
Trying.
It is definitely a lot job because something that you post on Facebook might not work as well on Twitter or on Instagram. So it's kind of like you need to talk to your audience a certain way because like long form content is good on Facebook, but on Twitter you only have like a short little blurb. Right? So exactly. Do you have any final words for the room, Jess?
Just thanks for listening and being here. Thanks to you for doing this. It's so cool. And I just appreciate anyone who likes, follows, shares, comes to a show. Please say hi. I'm so grateful because 10 years ago, I was the one at every show like this, front row, just amazed by everybody who ever played music, and now I do it. So it still blows my mind, and anyone who comes to see me or like, talk to me, oh my God, still like a kid, like, oh my God.
So guys, if you haven't already, please go see Jess at her live gigs. Go talk to her after the gigs, tip her, buy the book. Jess puts on a heck of a show. And if you're not in the Central New York area, she streams all the time. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're pretty much live like all the time. I love it. Well, Jess, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so very appreciative. I love what you do. I'm so excited to see what your career looks like down the line. I feel like you've accomplished so much and there's so much more that's coming, and I'm really excited for your 2023, and I know I'm going to be seeing you a lot more at all your gigs. Yes. Thank you so much, Jess, and thank you guys for joining us this evening. Guys, if you don't already, please make sure to follow Jess on all her social media platforms, and if you're new here, I'm Ashley Live. This is Ashley Live. And make sure to follow me here on Instagram, and all my interviews are up on my YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much, guys. Jess, thank you again, and much continued success to you. Thanks. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.